Great. So it is Monday, October 24th, and I'm going to keep it super short and sweet because we have Kristen Sharp on here tonight. And oh my gosh, I feel super disorganized. I just went out to get, this is like totally TMI, all my vaccines and stuff tonight. So I'm like, ugh. Feeling it. And I was going to introduce you. So, um, Kristen is super sweet. We actually met. I joined this group this quarter to push to diamond group, and my team was pushing really heavy to 5-star. And in this group, oh my gosh, seriously, one of my favorites. Like for $25, you can, and this is open to pretty much anyone, you can bet on yourself going diamond, hit and hold it for 6 weeks and win this like cash pot. And that's just like my love language. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll do anything for extra cash. Like, why not? But the value and the training in this group was just amazing. And I met Kristen through this, hit 5-star, went into the round table, and I did a little call for her. And I was like, okay, I got to get you on a call for my girls too. So she is a lifetime 12-star diamond, a legacy club member. And you might have to correct me, but that means you have earned $1 million in your like cumulative time of being a coach, right? Like that is, I mean, like goals right there, right? Like I know that's a goal for me. 5-time elite, 1-time premier, and 120 months to success club. The passcode is missing on the event. Oh, okay. All my girls should have it, but if you need to send it out or put it in the team page for Fit and Fierce, that's works for me. Thank you so much. Okay, so anyway, Kristen, I'm gonna let you get started. She has a topic prepared for us tonight, and I love that Kristen likes to keep it simple. She's got the recipe of kind of like how to make this thing work. So I don't know if you need to share your screen or if you're just gonna go for it.
No, actually, I don't have any fancy slides. I've got some really beautiful drawings that you're probably going to laugh at, but it gets the point across because I am a simple coach. I don't feel like I have any special talents or anything like that. I am a busy mom of 4 girls starting at age 13 down to 5.5. So if somebody busts in here at some point, you know, that's just the way it goes. And my husband is used to be military, but now he is a commercial airline pilot. So he's not here, and he's not here a lot of the times lately because he is just getting started in his career. So I'm doing this business solo, but just to back up a little bit on my story, if you may have heard, I was on the National Wake Up Call like a month or so ago. So I shared my story there, but I'll just kind of rehash that in case you're wondering who the heck I am, how I got to be here. And by the way, Brooke, she's amazing. Like I saw her in that group. She has so much energy. And I was like, you did what in this amount of time? Like, I got to know what you're doing. And so I was so excited to have her speak to our team. So you guys have an amazing leader in front of you. And just always remember, success leaves clues. Like lean into things like this. Be coachable, take what people are teaching you and actually apply it. So how I got started was, you know, prior to becoming a mom, my husband and I had always said while we were dating and early on in marriage, the goal was I would work a few years. We saved up my money from teaching. And then once we had our first baby, I would become a stay-at-home mom. So I actually had my master's in guidance counseling as well. I was an elementary ed teacher. Then I went on to be a high school guidance counselor for a year when we were stationed over in Japan. And then I got pregnant and I was like, well, I love my job, but I also, of course, wanted to be home with my baby girl. The thought of somebody else taking her to play dates and all the things, which my friend was like, I can totally watch her for and I'll take her to lunch. I'm like, no, like I want to do that. So I stayed home. And of course, you know, we went from 2 budgets or 2 incomes down to 1. So our budget was really tight. We could get by, but that was it. And fast forward a little bit more, I was pregnant with baby number 2. And I'm just one who's always thinking about the future. That's just kind of how I am. And I'm like, how in the world are we going to be able to do X, Y, Z? I was looking at our budget from month to month, which I was in charge of because my husband was gone a lot. I had to manage that. And it was constantly stressing me out every time I'd have to check our bank account. And I remember moments of having to text my husband and say, hey, you know, don't go spend anything because we have $50 left in what we're allowing ourselves to spend this month. And we need to be able to put gas in the car. And so I just got to a point where I was frustrated with that. And I was looking for a way to earn some extra income, but I was, you know, looking at going to do these certain things, but by paying for childcare, none of it made sense for me to go back to work and make it worth it. So my friend had approached me about this Beachbody business when we were stationed in Japan together. We worked out at the gym together. That was kind of my extent of my fitness background, as I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to fitness classes over on base. And I was like, what? I remember her telling me about our upline, Summer Tucker, which she's still like y'all's upline somehow, right? Like we're still in the same family. Yeah. She, at the time, Summer was like making $2,000 a month, which now is way, way more. She's like, yeah, my friend's doing this. She's making like $2,000 a month. And I was like, what? Really? Like, no way. You know, that seems huge. And fast forward a few months later, she approached me again and she's like, hey, by the way, it's free for military to become a coach. And I was like, okay, I'll do it then. So I signed up. Hang on. What? Just sorry, told you. Okay, you can go get a snack, but I'm in a meeting, so shut the door. Sure, whatever you want. It's like whatever you want. So anyway, I was like, it's free. I might as well. We couldn't afford the gym. We had since then moved back to the United States, and I was trying to do some things, you know, on my own at home, but really had no plan to follow. So I dove in. You know, I signed up as a coach and started the health and fitness journey with Beachbody all at the same time, really having no clue what exactly this could be, but thought, you know, if I can get in shape, lose this baby weight, and make some extra income, that'll be a win. And so my vision started small. If it was an extra $500 a month that would allow us to save for things like trips home to see our family, because man, that was a pain point. When I remember, it's funny how certain moments happen in life that you just remember where you were sitting. And I remember I was at my desk and telling my husband I wanted to go home to visit family. And he was like, no, we really just don't have the gas money for you to be driving from Florida to Texas. And that ticked me off. You know, I was like, God, like, you know, that hurt me that I couldn't take my babies home to visit family. So I needed to do something. And so I didn't really care how long this business took for me to grow it. You know what I mean? I never went into this with a mindset of, oh, I'll see what happens in 30 days. And no, it was like, I'm going for it, however long it takes, and let's see what happens. So one of the things I wanted to talk with you guys about tonight is one of my favorite topics, and it may sound so simple, but you can apply this to your business. You can apply it to any aspect of your life, relationships, when you're teaching your kids things. And it's something that you can easily take and teach your coaches that are joining you. And you can teach your challengers the same formula. And it's called the success formula. And here's what I mean by my fancy drawings. Okay. So success is consistency, C, plus T is time, plus intensity, multiplied by your belief, equals results. Okay, so consistency plus time plus intensity multiplied by your belief equals your results. So we're going to break this down. So consistency is the recipe, and we're going to get into the recipe and a little bit later in this call, but you have to be consistent in following the recipe for the business. Basically what's on your business activity tracker, right? Like we can't just pick and choose certain things on there, but we have to be really consistent with all of the things. And consistent in the right things. Sometimes coaches are like, well, I'm being consistent, but we're leaving pieces out, and we're all consistent in some form or fashion, whether it's consistent with good habits that we have, or we're consistent in bad habits. Okay. The T for time, everything takes time. If you're saying, like I said a while ago, if you're saying, you know what, I'm going to give this business 30 days and see what happens, you've already lost. I don't know how long some of you have been a coach, but even if you're saying, well, we'll see 3 months or 6 months down the road, if you're having that limiting mindset, you've already lost. Okay. You got to go in with it with this long game in mind. And if you're saying, hey, it's the same thing with our challengers, right? Oh, we'll see what happens in 30 days. Like that you're not in a state of change when you have that kind of mindset. So it's something that personal trainers, psychologists, all recognize that everything takes time. So saying, I'm just going to give it a little bit of time and then I'll quit if it doesn't work. That is a lottery mindset, and you're wanting it to just be based on luck. And hey, you know what? The only thing lucky is that, you were born in America, or maybe you're in Canada. I don't know. Right. But like, you were born in a country that gave you opportunity, that you have this amazing platform that's free called social media where you can build a business. That's lucky. Right. But it takes hard work and it takes time. So I tell my coaches, and I would imagine Brooke says something similar, to be here in a year, but be here in a year, leaning into things like this, being committed to growth and getting yourself surrounded. It's so important that you surround yourself with other people who are moving forward in a positive direction. That's where you get your batteries charged, because you're going to have moments of like, this sucks. Like, this is hard. I'm having a rough week. My rank dropped. Nobody's saying yes this week. Like, we all have those weeks and months where it is a struggle, but plugging into energy sources with other coaches is what's going to help you have a forward mindset. And then keeping in mind too, like many of us went to college, maybe for 4 years, 6 years, and paid all this money for a degree, and you were committed to working towards that. But you guys have a business that you paid next to nothing to get started with, right? And has the ability to start paying you back right away versus, going to school for 4 years. Maybe you went in debt to go to school to start a job that isn't even paying you enough to help pay off that debt anytime soon. Okay. So say yes to changing your life and being here in a year. Yes to, hey, you'll be able to start paying down debt. You'll be able to start learning how to build a business that brings your family more financial flexibility, that you can go on vacations, help a business that's helping you be more patient and a better human being in general. Okay. So time, I could talk about that one a while, but intensity, that's the next piece of our success formula. You have to pick an intensity level that aligns with your goal of what you want to achieve in this business. And you have to be realistic about what that looks like. If someone says to me, well, I want to do what you did, I want to make, multi 6 figures in a year, well, you have to be realistic with the time that it's going to take, right? Like I set this goal of, in the beginning, like I told you, was like $500 a month, but eventually I left that part of my story out. Eventually I had this goal of, I want to make enough income to where my husband, and I couldn't share all this on the National Wake Up Call because of, but compliance purposes. But I wanted my husband to feel comfortable walking away from active duty military when his time was up. I wanted to be his choice, but it was also something that we were discussing a lot as a family. And I had to be earning enough to where he was willing to do that, because he's very emerald personality of like, if I don't know what's next, he was very scared to jump. And I'm just like, dude, just go, we're going to figure it out. Right. And when he knew that I was making enough income by the point that his contract was up, that he felt comfortable saying, all right, I'm turning in my letter. And then we figured it out from there, because when he stopped active duty, he had to take a pay cut that was, let me just say, flying for the regional airlines, you can make more waiting tables. Like, it's crazy. So thank goodness, like we could not have given him that opportunity to start that career if it wasn't for this business that I'm building. Like, it would be impossible to feed 4 kids. We would have to move in with mom and dad. So it's given us that ability, you guys. So anyway, all that to say, when I first started and I decided that was my goal, he obviously had a contract. Like he couldn't just get out in 6 months. So I knew we had this 5 to 6 year timeline. So I built this business at an intensity level that matched that timeline, that aligned with the seasons of life I was going through. I started this when I was pregnant with baby number 2. So I've had 3 babies while building this business and moved about 5 or 6 times. So, you know, through all of those ups and downs, you guys, it's been amazing that I have a business that can go wherever I go and take me through seasons of life. So I was realistic with how I built. But if you're like, no, I need to leave my job in the next year, and then your intensity level is going to look different. So you have to talk to your coach about what that looks like for you and make sure that you can work at it at an intensity level that you can maintain without being burned out. Okay. All right, the next one, multiplied by belief, okay? So we multiply it by the belief. Because if you only believe that only blonde girls can be successful at this business, or only those who have a 6-pack or a certain age bracket, if you only believe that those people are the ones that can be successful, then you aren't going to give this time. You aren't going to be consistent with your business, and you're not going to work at it at any sort of intensity level that's needed to reach your goals. So belief is multiplied because anything multiplied by 0 equals 0, right? So, and this is what's so powerful about what we're going to be doing with, what's her name? Is it Petra Kolber, something like that. Yeah. The new personal development leader. She's going to be helping us with this because belief is so powerful, and your belief impacts your actions. And that was one of the things that she was talking about at leadership. And your belief comes from your wins that you're having along the way in your health and fitness journey and in your business. But we're not going to take action if we don't have belief. It's like this whole cycle. So we have to constantly be working on it. So we're learning to retrain our minds to focus on what we're doing well. And I have to work at this every single day, every week, because there are a lot of moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, my rank this week or whatever, you know, like it can be frustrating. But if I focus on all the things that are not happening, it's so defeating. I have to immediately just be aware of that and consciously switch my mindset to working with the willing, those who are showing up, and the things that are going well versus not. But we are constantly needing to evaluate ourselves, not from a self-bullying way, but from a place of, you know, what can I do to improve? Okay. And focusing on your wins, and you've got to know what your goals are. Okay. And you get to define what winning is for your business. Okay. Let's compare it to, you know, my kids going to school. Some parents define winning as their kids have perfect attendance at school. I know my kids aren't going to have perfect attendance. We might take a vacation, or I'm going to take them out of school to go have fun for their birthdays. My husband hates when I do that. And you know, no kidding, you guys. I took Ashlyn out for her birthday on a Friday, and then she got sick the next Monday, so she had to miss school. And he's like, "See, I told you she shouldn't be missing school. Now she's out for being sick." I'm like, whatever, you know. But like, that's not how I define winning for them. But same thing, you guys, for your business, you get to define what winning and success looks like to you. It's not up to your upline or your husband or whoever. You can just define that. And we're going to talk about the importance of that at the end. But the recipe, no matter what, which we're getting into next, will not change whether your goal is to make $500 a month or your goal is to be a 6-figure earner. We all follow the same recipe. Me and Brooke follow the same recipe. The top coach follows the same recipe. It's just the intensity level at which you work and the belief that you have behind it. Okay, so what is the recipe? Let me bring out my next lovely graphic for you guys. I'm sorry, it's like, is it mirrored? I think you're seeing it like backwards, but that's okay. Okay. No, does it look right? Okay. So recipe. This is the recipe for the business. We have to find, we have to connect, we have to invite, we have to follow up. Pretty basic, right? Let's talk through those things. So, where is it? Okay. So you have to have a funnel. Okay. You have to have people that you're talking to every day, whether it's in person or it's through social media. So we talk to a lot of people, right? And I have here examples: social media, church, kids, sporting events, work, friend gatherings. Like, I was at my kids' dance class this evening, having conversations with the human beings around us. Okay. Some of those people might join you in a 7-day free group, or maybe they'll sign up to just do BOD. And maybe some will do Shakeology. Some will join with a challenge pack. When I made this, challenge packs were the things, total solution pack. Some will join your team, and then some of those will become builders, right? And some may jump from here, right, to being a builder. Some may start saying, hey, I'm going to be a builder. And then all of a sudden they go back to being a challenger. It just works like this. Okay. But a lot of times coaches have it a little flipped. They're like, well, I'm talking to, a few people. Nobody wants to do this. It's like this. Okay. Like, you got to talk to a lot of people and find the people who actually want to build with you. Okay. So every business has a funnel, whether it's a restaurant, church that's getting started. They all have to have a funnel. They all have to go out and say, hey, come into our church, or come visit our restaurant. We're opening up. They have to go out and talk to people. Our business is no different. So the cool thing is, though, we don't have to pay for ads to build our business. We have a free, amazing platform called Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're using, TikTok, to be able to reach people. But we're called to be the light in the world, you guys. So we have to go out and encourage others. We're not meant to be hiding in this dark place, okay, in our little house. Like, no, get out there and be a light to other people around you. So connecting is the next piece of the recipe. Smiling, having conversations with people, because they're human beings. All right. No, get out of our phones and actually smile at people around you. My husband is the best at this. Yes, he's a coach, but like, he doesn't work it to my ability. But like, I kid you not, you guys, I'll get excited because I'm like, oh, I got a new follower. And I think it's like something I did. And they're like, oh, I met your husband in line at Chick-fil-A at the airport. He told me to follow your page. I'm like, okay, awesome. Are you into fitness too? Like, he talks to everybody. He's a really great example of like face-to-face connections. He tells flight attendants, like, it's hilarious. So, but it gives me good conversations. So smile, have conversations with people, and be a light on your news feed, encouraging others, but going to their pages as well and leaving genuine comments, reaching out and saying, oh my gosh, you're rocking it. Or, I loved that dress today. You guys know, right? Like, we have to connect with people. And that makes us stand out, like, they're not getting a lot of messages like that from others. But when you take the time to personally message them, or maybe you saw that they had something hard happen in life, or they started a new job, and you take the time to personally message them about that and show that you remembered, they're going to remember that. That means something. Invite. That's a way of serving people. Okay. Let me say, total opposite of my hubby. Mine was so mad when I kept talking to people about squash at Stop and Shop yesterday. That's funny. Yeah. My husband, sometimes I'm like, okay, Greg. he's very social. So he's inviting. It's a way of serving people, you guys. Like, it's the same thing. If a new neighbor moves in our neighborhood, I'm like, hey, we're having a girls' wine night. You should come hang out with us. That's serving others, right? This business is no different. Like, you're loving what you're doing. You're feeling great. Like, hey, you should come do this with me because it's awesome. We should all have this as a part of our life. And then following up. One that a lot of people like to leave out because they're nervous, but it's the same thing. If your friend doesn't show up for girls' night and they said that they were going to come, it's like, hey, you said you were going to come. I didn't see you show up. Is everything okay? Like, you would think your friend's going to check back and make sure you're all right. So again, following up, like, hey, I know you were talking to me about wanting to get started on your health and fitness journey. I sent you a cart, haven't seen it go through yet. Talk to me. Are you nervous? Like, what's holding you back? I always ask people if I can tell that there's some hesitancy, I just ask, like, what's holding you back? Let's chat about it. Get that out of the way, and then we help provide solutions to them. All right. So that's the recipe. Okay. So the finding, the connecting, the inviting, following up, you can't leave anything out. It's just like if I gave you the best recipe for cheesecake and you left out, you went home and you're like, well, you know, I'm trying to watch my sugar or my carbs. So you leave out the sugar and then you make the cheesecake and you're like, well, this sucks. This didn't work, right? Same thing. You can't leave out any of the ingredients of the recipe or it's not going to be the same. Then we have to put it in the pan. If we just throw all of the ingredients into the oven, it's going to be a hot mess, right? Stuff's going to go everywhere. The pan is your personal development. That's what holds all of this together. That's what helps build that belief and that foundation so that all of these things flow right. So what are you guys reading? Drop it into the chat. What are you reading right now? What are you doing for PD? Let's get some accountability going here. Or listening to. Ooh, Rewired by Brad Bidjack. Awesome. Atomic Habits, good one. Finally finished the Miracle Morning. You know, Miracle Morning's one that I started a while back and I was like, this isn't, I'm not feeling it. And then I read it last year because I was struggling with my mornings and it was just perfectly what I needed to hear. Sometimes like if you might find that you'll start a PD book and you're like, I'm just not loving it. And it's okay, but you can go back to it and it'll be totally different. I finished The Gap and The Gain. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. Awesome. You guys are giving me some ideas. So anyway, every day, you know, pouring into your mindset. Girls, Stop Apologizing. That's a great one too. But listening to motivational videos, listening to books on audio, whatever you have to do to get it in during your day. Because again, if you take this recipe, you throw it in the oven without the pan holding it together, it's going to be messy. Your self-doubt creeps in, you start getting no's and objections. And you're like, you know what? Maybe my husband was right. This thing is stupid. It's not going to work. Nobody wants to do this. But all that negativity will take over if you're not working on your growth. So anyway, we have to give it time. We have to be consistent. And what's funny, the further you go, the bigger that personal development pan has to get. It's just like as your kids get older, the more I feel like a bigger personal development pan I need with taking care of a teenager. But it's the same thing with our business. Like the higher you go up in leadership, you have to keep raising that personal development lid or else you're just going to keep hitting it and getting frustrated. So it's more and more important the further you go up. So, all right, you're all doing this. You know that you got to do your finding, inviting, connecting, your PD, put it in the oven. So the oven is your own personal journey. Okay. Because again, this is what builds that belief as well. You know, the personal development does too, but being focused on your own personal journey so that all of this just flows. It feels genuine. It's coming from a right place because you are feeling good. Not that you have to be at your goal or be perfect or, you know, have a six-pack or any of that, but just knowing that you're feeling better, you're moving forward in a positive direction, you have more energy, all of those things make it very natural and easier for you to do the recipe. So, all right, back to the success formula. You know, it takes time. And if you're really going to change your habits in your health journey, you know that it takes time. And it's also the same with this business, that the business takes time and takes time doing things consistently, not just getting ready to get ready, like a lot of coaches will do. They're learning all the things, but never actually taking the action. You have to go and do it. Okay. And here's the thing. I feel like it's freeing knowing that this business takes time. It's not just hustle, hustle, hustle and do all day, you know, all in one day that you're growing this massive thing. It's just a little bit every single day consistently, you know, the compound effect done over time is what's going to bring those results. It's just like people who they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going on a cruise in a month. I need to lose 20 pounds. So they're like working out twice a day and then they're going on a run and they're taking their calories super low. Like it's miserable, right? Like nobody really wants to do that and it's not sustainable. So it's the same thing with this business, doing it consistently at an intensity level that you can maintain, that's done over time, is what's going to bring the results for you. Okay. All right. Next thing. The cool thing though with this, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes, y'all. But with time, you can have some fun money to do with this business. And that can be built up pretty quickly. It's not like we're saying, well, in a year, I'd like to be making $500 a month. No, you could do that in a month with this business if you really wanted to. Okay. And that's, you have to have the mentality though, that you're going to be doing the recipe that we talked about consistently and be here in a year from now. So we have to define what winning means for you. We talked a little bit about that earlier. I want you guys to ask yourselves, what do you actually want? What do you want? And what your vision is for this business. And I know sometimes we go to, well, I want to help people. And yes, that is our job. I always say that that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do. But it's okay to allow yourself to dream and want things for yourself and your family too. That is okay. Like doctors get paid, nurses get paid, teachers get paid, pastors get paid, right? For doing their job. And they're all helping and serving people. It's the same thing with us. So don't feel bad about that. Okay. And to me, I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to take time away from my family, which is the most important thing in my life, like I want to get paid for that. So define what winning is for you and ask yourself, what do you want? And know that that can change over time, right? Things can shift. You may not exactly know right now. Circumstances in life may change. Maybe you love your job right now. Maybe your goal is not to leave your full-time job, and that's okay. But maybe in 10 years, or not 10 years, but maybe in like 2 years, things change and you're like, you know what? I want to leave my job. And so that vision can shift. I knew when I joined right away that I did want to make money, but I did not know exactly what that looked like. But over time, I realized what it could be for us. And so my vision grew. So knowing though, that when you define what it is that you want, you're going to come up against obstacles along the way. Okay. You're going to feel overwhelmed at times. Like coaches are like, I'm just so overwhelmed. And then they quit doing anything at all. You're going to feel overwhelmed at times. I get overwhelmed. I've been in the business 11 years. I still sometimes get overwhelmed. That is just naturally part of the process. It's going to happen. Okay. It's what we do with it, right? Learn how to deal with it. Make a to-do list, brain dump. That's a training for another night. But we're going to have obstacles. And I heard this great quote: the greatest obstacle is thinking we aren't going to have obstacles. Like you're going to have obstacles along the way. That is just part of it as well. Every business has them. But with this business, the great thing is that we basically invested nothing to get started with it, but you need to treat it. That's a good and a bad thing, right? Because it was such a small investment to start a business, sometimes we don't treat it the way it really should be treated. And really, we should treat this business like we invested $1 million into it, because it has the ability to pay you that and that back and more. Okay. So, I love, this was something I heard today, actually, in a podcast I had to share with you guys. He talked about committing to a future that you want. When people seem to struggle and fall out of consistency with the things, it's because they don't have a commitment to a future. Here's how he says it: if you don't have a commitment to a future that you want, that is more important than your own immediate survival, then you won't stick with it or push through obstacles. I'll say that again. If you don't have a commitment to a future that you want, that's more important than your own immediate survival, then you won't stick with it or push through obstacles. He says, if you're going to climb a mountain, you are excited to see what's on the other side of that, right? I climbed Mount Fuji once, and that took hours to get to the top. my husband and I are competitive. So we actually were trying to beat the rest of the group to the top. And there were like breaks in between where you could like buy candy bars. I'm like, nope, go. So we got to the top super fast. And then there's ramen at the top. Like we knew there was ramen at the top and huts, you could rest. And so we got to the top because we were excited about that. And it's the same thing with this business. When you know, like, hey, in 5 years, this is what I want my life to look like, and you really allow yourself to go there and dream big, you're going to push through the obstacles along the way. You're going to push through fears that are going to come, the overwhelm, because you know that what's on the other side is worth it. And I had never heard this description before today about what passion is. I think it's the Greek origin of the word passion, and people have gotten it mixed up today about what passion means. They think it means excitement. I feel excited about it. Guess what? Like, I love this business, but I'm not always waking up like excited. I'm like, ugh, sometimes, you know, but it's what I want, it's what my vision is that has driven me to stay at it for 11 years. Okay. You better believe in 11 years, I've had ranks in and out and tons of obstacles along the way and failures. Okay. But what passion means, he says, sorry, my dogs in here are growling. He said, people got it messed up today to mean exciting, but that's not what passion means. It's what is worth suffering for. That's what passion actually means. What is worth suffering for? Not that we're suffering per se, right? Like it's not really like we're not dying over here by having to send invites or follow-ups. Like, come on, it's not that hard, but put things into perspective, right? What is it so bad that you want in your life that it is worth you fighting for, worth you suffering for? Success is not always convenient, but it leads to a lifetime of convenience, right? Having to get up at 5 a.m. so that you have some time in the morning to do your PD and get some invites out before your kids get up in the morning. That's what I do. Like, I don't love that, right? But I push myself to do it because success isn't convenient, but it leads to a lifetime of convenience. Okay. All right. So I want you guys, I'm going to give them a call to action, Brooke, to share with your upline, whether that's Brooke or maybe with Brooke and your direct diamond, whoever that is, but let them know, what is it that you want? What is it that you're willing to fight for? And I'm going to take that a step further and encourage you, if you have a spouse, to share with your spouse why you are building this business. And I think that that's something that kind of gets overlooked sometimes, and spouses get frustrated because they don't understand why we're in our phones. But I always tell my coaches too, that you got to be consistent. If you want your spouse to take you seriously, you better be consistent with it. Because what speaks to them, right? It's showing results. Like if you're bringing in money, they're like, keep doing that. Like, that's good. Awesome. Right. But if we're doing these things in and out, we're not consistent, and we're not going to get results. And therefore they're like, what the heck are you doing? They're not taking you seriously. Okay. So, but have a conversation with your spouse about what your vision is. And why you're fighting for this. Maybe it's you have never been able to take your kids to Disney World. That was one of the first goals that I had as a coach. And you communicate that with your kids. You communicate with your spouse like, hey, I'm working this business right now because my goal is to save up enough money so that we can go to Disney. And you communicate with that with them and show them where you're at from month to month. Like, hey, we were able to put $500 this month towards the Disney fund. And I bet you your family's going to view your business a lot different if you're really open and you're communicating that with them. All right. Yes, I love that, Melissa. I share my goals with my family and it helps so much. And, you know, my husband at first, like, he was never not supportive, but, you know, he didn't get it at first, right? Like and now he totally does. But it took in the beginning constantly just like saying, hey, remember why I'm doing this? Like, I'm doing this so we can do this. This is my vision, and reminding him of that. And then I think it was actually him going to Summit his first time that he finally was like, oh, I get this. This is real. Okay. And he's been more supportive and on board ever since then too. All right. So that's it. That's what I have for you guys.
Oh, that was so good. I was just thinking it was leadership that was the first trip my husband went on, and seeing his face, like, whoa, this is real. I'm like, would we have ever like just gone on this vacation and got this hotel, just me and you for fun? And he's like, no. Yeah. It was like amazing to watch his eyes light up. Holy goodness. If you guys have any questions, do you have your funnel picture again? Those were great. I'm so glad I'm recording this because I'm going to go back and like,
there you go. My not so great handwriting, but you know.
Oh, it's so good though. Like everything was so simple. I love the pictures. I'm really excited because I think that you nailed it. Like this business is consistency, time, intensity, and then those 4 main things. I'm really curious. I do have one question. Yeah. When you have new coaches that are joining, what is like your main focus with them in getting started with all of this?
Okay. So I work very closely more one-on-one with my coaches. I send them a checklist that has the basics of, you probably have one, right? Like join the team page, make your list, join the bod group. But I am behind the scenes also messaging them and saying like, all right, so my goal is to get them to get their post up as quickly as possible, their first post. Now, I mean, I feel like this is such a big question because it does vary a little bit from coach to coach, because some of them are like, I haven't ever pushed play on a workout ever, and I'm waiting for my stuff to come in, So if that's the case, and I can tell that's where they're at, then like we wait to get their stuff in and focus on their journey a little bit first. But mostly I try to get them to get a post up right away and talk to them about getting some people to come do this with them as accountability partners. So we get the post up, then I'm like, all right, awesome. Now make a list of 20 people that you want to have do this with you. First 10 being people who are closest to you. The next 10 being people who liked and commented on your post. Here's what to say. And then I give them exactly what that they could say, a little script, of course, tell them to make it their own, but here's to get you going. When I get on a getting started right call with them, which I tend to not do unless I've at least seen them get their first post up. But again, if I can see this as a coach that they're like asking me a lot of questions, because everybody has different personalities, right? Like some just want to talk to you first. I will get them on a call before that first post, but I like to have them at least do that. What? I'm tired. Okay, just a second. I'll be out in a minute, okay? So, but on that call, I talk to them about, what their goals are, but I help kind of direct them back to, no matter what your goal is, our first step is we got to get to Emerald and get your first 3 people started. So I asked them right then and there, who are like the first like 3 to 4 people that come to your mind right now that you can message so we can get them signed up. And then I did talk to them about the importance of signing up their spouse too. Yes, take my phone.
But can you turn on it?
Yes.
Perfect. I love it. Hello. Oh, I have 3 girls in my home, so I get it. Mine just came down a minute ago. Okay. I love that because it's also simple. And I think more people need to hear that from coaches that are working the business, that are, seeing the success like that you have. And just hearing that it doesn't need to be this intricate course.
It's like tell them what to do because they don't know, right? Like if I don't tell them, like if we make it sound hard, then it's going to feel hard, but it's just like, all right, our goal is to get you to Emerald in month 1. Here's how we do it. And I also will show them what my husband's back office looks like too, so they can kind of see, this is what happens when you sign your spouse up and he's grown to diamond. Of course, that mostly works. Maybe if you don't have your spouse to diamond, it's hard to explain that, but maybe you could grab a screenshot from somebody who does, and you could say, hey, this is a coach. She grew her husband to diamond. This is my goal too. And this is what it looks like just in team cycle bonus under him. Yeah. So they're like, oh, okay. So they may not quite understand it all. And I tell them it's okay if you don't quite get it, but this is just kind of giving you a picture of why it's important to get your spouse signed up early on.
Oh my gosh, that's a really good idea. I just added that down. That's so simple.
Yeah.
I think we had a coach on our team that did that. I think it was like my coach and another one. I remember them saying like, this is just me. And then this is my husband. I'm like, that like, heck yeah. Like I want to double my income or whatever it was. Insert disclaimer. But that was amazing. Thank you so much. I don't know how to change this. Okay, whatever. We're good. I will upload this onto YouTube. Kristen, I'll send it over to you as well. I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. I know these nights can be hard. We're all exhausted with our jobs, kids, life, husbands, all the daily things. So, but that was just freaking gold. I'm really excited because I think even for me, I can tend to overcomplicate things in the business, and really it is simple. We're just talking to people and asking them, would you want to do this with us? Not like making it this whole big thing like, hey, join me on this journey. I mean, we're all on this journey. Why not bring people along? So Kristen, thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll